this is an overlocked finished hem. It's a very quick finish, not a high end, but quite functional, and it's used often throughout garment making. So on the right side of fabric you have a single row of straight stitching, and on the underside you've got the hem turned towards the wrong side of fabric with the overlocking stitched down to the fabric. We're going to start with some overlocking. Now it's important on this to have the right side of fabric facing up, so the wrong side would be down this way under here, and keep the fabric so that the edge is running right along the inside of the blade here. So you're not trimming off great big chunks of the fabric, but neither are you stitching so that your stitches are casting over onto nothing. You want those stitches to be right on the fabric. And I'll run that all the way through. Running it off like that, and then trimming it. Oops. So there you've got your overlocked edge. So I've pressed the fabric now, pressed that overlocked edge nice and flat, and this is the right side of fabric, and we can tell that by the overlocking being the little loops going all the way to the edge of fabric and what looks like a couple of rows of straight stitching along the edge there. So we'll be turning the fabric from the right side towards the wrong side of fabric. So what you don't want to see is the wrong side of the overlocking, which is a little bit messier than the front. And this is the right side of fabric being turned. Now you may or may not be able to eyeball the depth of your hem and press a nice straight hem like that. If you struggle with it, there is a trick of using a template of cardboard, and you can draw the depth of your hem on here. So you might have a narrow hem, which could be on children's wear or the edge of a shirt, the hem of a shirt, or it could be a deeper hem that's used on pants or a skirt or something that where you want a bit more weight in the hem. Whichever one you choose, pop it in at what you think is the right depth and fold it up, and then just move the card into the fold until the edge of the overlocking hits the line that you've drawn. So once you've got a little bit like that, you can press it and then move along and do a little bit more. So there's no need to try and get the whole thing and then press. You can work at a pace where you can hold the fabric. Just be very conscious of, if you've just pressed the fabric, that it'll be hot, that if you go to use it again, like to do the next bit, not to scorch your fingers, because the cardboard will actually retain the heat of the iron as you move along. Okay, so you're pressing that up like that, or you may be able to just turn it and press it. Whichever way works for you, just press the entire hem. So I'm going to continue with the card just because that's the way I started. Normally I would just, you just get better at eyeballing it and knowing what the hem depth is. Okay, so that's pressed. It's pressed towards the wrong side of fabric and it's ready to sew. I've lined up the machine to stitch the hem into place with the edge of the overlocking running in along the inside edge of the presser foot, and my needle will then come in about 2 millimeters on the inside of that and hold the overlocked edge down in just the right place. What we don't want to happen is to be stitched too far in so that when the hem's turned up you've got this little flappy bit here. Nobody really needs that. It'll get in the way. So I'm just going to stitch a little way here and we'll have a look at it. So you can see where the overlocked edge is running along the inside there. On an industrial machine it would run along the inside edge of the foot just like that, and it would be in the perfect position. Different domestic machines have slightly different feet. Just work out where it is that you can stitch so that your row of stitching sits in here. The other way that you might do it is to use your seam guide here, and if your hem's not an actual depth that's on the seam guide, you can put either a magnetic seam guide or a post-it note or a bit of sticky tape along there so that you've got something to follow to keep the depth of the hem exactly even all the way through. I'll just continue that through here a little bit longer, and we'll have a look at it. So on the right side of fabric, you have the hem is marked by a straight stitch line, and on this side it has the overlocking.